So apparently, I'm living in the future. I called you yesterday, Thursday. So if you took a trade based on my time traveling skills, I hope you hit TP. We're actually back in reality today, and it's Thursday for real now. So I've been looking at my videos, and I realized that I've been rushing. I'm trying to cover too much ground, especially with with the whole three assets thing. So today I just want to do a deep dive, an extensive analysis, an extensive analysis recap and outlook of gold. And if there's still time, or if I still will have enough time, I could go over the UJ and the euro dollar. So yeah, that's uh that's it for the day. So let's just get right into it. So yesterday, or not really yesterday, this whole structure. Let's just look at this whole structure for a minute. Price hits daily, right? It starts to push up at around this point. I mean, of course, here we're still in this range. Just let's pretend for a second that we're here and price isn't printed these other candles. All right. So yeah, forgive me for that. I think I'm coming down with a cold. It's really cold here. So price we're assuming that price hasn't printed the rest of these candles, right? So this was the last break, and we're kind of following structure. This was just a facilitation, same to all of these. But we have something unique happening. What's that? We have okay price respecting these zones, and it's just going up, but then it loses momentum around here. And after losing, as you can see, I think I was actually in this position one time, and well, it just didn't go well. So price loses momentum. We have a H2 point here, but whatever it is that it's forming, I just I just want us to take a look at what kind of structure it was forming, and the reason why I had this M15 zone drawn up. And yeah, the reason for my thinking, my thinking process for all of that. So we had this, if you take out this schematic and just put it aside for a minute, this structure isn't it's not really balanced. It's full of well, first of all, we have the trend line, the most famous trend line liquidity, and the price has to rest, after it's up this liquidity, these lows. It has to rest somewhere, and the only place that was possible for resting was this M15. I mean, I thought that the H2 was actually going to push it up, but it did not. I mean, just gave us a reaction, came back, you swept the liquidity on this, it swept the liquidity on this leg, and well, you know, dropped down, and we got swept, got one loss there, and price just came down. So what happened after it came down? After it came down, it created this H1 point, which we got a 5 minute entry after price rejected, that low. I think we got a 1 is to 4 and a 1 is to 2 point something. Yeah, we got that. Uh, that was it. Yeah, 1 is to 4.35, and we also had an add-on that I did not see. Yeah. Anyway, that was that. So price pushes up, right? Price pushes up after that was a little bit of a tongue twister. Price pushes up, and it takes out this H1 high, and then price comes back again. Well, we didn't really have any place. I don't think we had any FVG left. Any fair value gap left. Be it on the well, we did, but price broke through it like it was nothing. So I took it to mean that price was still. I mean, this was honestly just a big a big thing. Okay, we had this another trend line. Yeah, even though it was a bit tiny, but we still had that. And this M15 was still very very valuable because well, price never really pushed up here. So yeah, it never really did its job. Yeah. So what happened is that it ended up becoming a support. It ended up becoming a support level, a key support level, which finally again pushed price. Okay, wait, just give me a second here. Yeah, okay, so we're here, right? Okay, price pushed down. Sorry. Actually, we had a zone. I don't know. Yeah, we had a zone on the 4 hour. I think I was a little bit confused. On the 4 hour, we had a zone, but this zone played as a, it was a demand zone. But at the same time, as we were seeing rejections, the M15 was also hit. Like it hit the M15 again as it was hitting the H4, which this was serving as a support. They both held, and we got those rejections. So what happened? What happened is price started to move up again, right? After they gave us a rejection, this was volume in the 4 hour. You could see with this candle, this was literal volume. That was nice. That was great. But the problem was that when I woke up, this was around 9:45 London time. When I woke up, I could still see the same structure, like the same structure that was being formed here. The same cluttered. Like it's really cluttered. It's as if it's being pressed, but like there wasn't much space. So I did figure that price was gonna. The only problem is usually when is it gonna happen? But price was going to rebalance all of that. So I had my fib out, and well, I figured it was going to rebalance around, this. Even though this is they're not they're not institutional levels. They're really uh okay. They're not levels that you can see on the chart. They're just numbers. Where most of the time you find that this is the point, or these are the levels or key levels that you'd have your fair value gap around. Yeah, but the points don't usually have a significance. It's not structural, like you would say this zone. Like you'd say this zone. It's just numbers. Yeah. Uh. Yeah. So basically, the Fibonacci, knowing that like it's purely arbitrary, but again, like I was trying to explain that you could find, or you could get that these points usually have some sort of fair value gap resting around those zones. So you can see around 61.8, we had an M5. Yeah. So what happened after we had an M5? We got some liquidity sweeps, and price decided to break above. And in fact, I think on my broker, this was an actual break. Maybe not even on my broker. I think even here it was a break. Yeah, let's confirm that. Yeah, it was a break. Though I did not mark it, but it was a break. So this would be the entry. Sometimes I don't mark these things because maybe I just checked in. I was like, yep, that's a break. Okay, now we have this. So I don't really get to mark every. So I don't really mark every point. Maybe because I'm so used to it, and maybe that's not a good thing. Anyway, so okay, why is it not showing? Is it okay? Maybe that wasn't that one. Anyway, uh, we had that, but yeah, the setup isn't. It's not really crucial. It's just what it represented, so we don't have to put it. So we had that happening, and yeah, so price is it a push up to this. Yeah, again, price delivery is really different among these brokers. So this high was not there on my broker. Of course it was here. Yeah. So we had pushed it up to that high, and that was it. So what happened later on? Price just kept pushing up because, well, look at this huge. Okay, I'm just gonna say, look at this huge ass liquidity pool that we have, or this huge ass liquidity trendline liquidity. I think it would be better if I just marked it with. Oh yeah, it was this one here. That was yesterday's work. Huh. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna come to that in a few. Yesterday I had I think I took a few losses yesterday. So we had this trend line. We had this trend line liquidity, and as you can see, this is really nice. And I think price just went above and did its thing. Then it broke. But before it broke, I think when was this? This was on Tuesday. Yeah, on Tuesday I took a trade here. Uh, Yeah, and I think I did that also in the other video, but yeah, it's really not necessary if I did again. So we just kept going up with that trend and then aiming for the next liquidity pool, which were these highs. I don't really want to aim so far like here because I knew that there was, I knew that there was a possibility that price would come back down, yeah, and take out all of this, yeah, because they were all just, yeah, which it did, but that was way after price broke here. So yesterday I was expecting that price would push up, but it didn't from this zone. We did have a 1 hour point, that we were expecting, and I was like, even if it breaks, this, I'm not going to get out. I'm gonna keep holding because, well, I was writing on the fact that this M30 was the one in control, and it was the one that was holding price, which it did. Price came here, and I was like, okay, now this seems like maybe this is the good thing about risking such small amounts of money, or just like a small percentage of your account, because losses happen, and no matter what you do in the markets, you're always gonna get losses. I mean, everybody does. So I was writing on the fact that we were around uh, this fair value gap, and we're getting rejections. So that was kind of clear to me. So I was like, okay, now we have had a hectic day of just looking at price go down. So maybe this is it. Maybe it's gonna push up. Yeah, from this rejection. We keep waiting. Price is still not doing anything, and then later on in the night, price does something, takes me out. Yeah, and I wake up, I find that the prices actually hit the 1 hour point, and uh the 1 hour zone demand, and it's kind of given us, okay, normally this is how I would mark, or my thing. I wouldn't do this. No, this is how I do it. Instead, I would just mark this as a whole thing, because, well, this kind of closed above here. But for the sake of knowledge, and the fact that I know, or I can see that, yes, this pushed down after this candle closed. Yeah, we were here, right? And this push to the upside kind of happened at the same time, just on the same candle, But if maybe it had cut there, it would have meant that, oh, of course, this low was swept. But this low was swept on the lower time frames. You could see that, and it's very yeah, it's very, yeah, it's shouting a lot. Anyway, so we have that for now. uh expecting to go to the end of the range. I really don't like having these, you know yeah, they make the chart look, it gives it a lot of drawings. And maybe that's also another reason why I never really put I never really mark some breaks, like, maybe the breaks here. Yeah, because I mean, it has broken. What does it matter if I put my break or not? But of course, some are useful so that I could just keep my eyes on stuff, and yeah, just to be aware of what is happening. So we're currently writing that. That's 5.91R. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. So because we have time left, I'm just gonna go quickly, really, really quick on USDJPY. So we had this, all right. We had this 6.91R, from a H2 point, uh, and what was happening from that, the 2 hour point. Price came down to that 2 hour point. Of course, failed to close here, and that was basically our entry on the 45-minute from that zone. Went up, and I think it was that easy. Maybe I'm explaining it too quick, but it's because of time. I don't want it to be too long. But yeah, but just know that that was it. And also the fact that, okay, so you might say that this, maybe this price broke here, right? But I decided to hold it because, on the 45, if you go to the 45, you look at this, all right? You look at this. Maybe just marking the ranges is gonna help help you understand the range that we were in. Sorry, was this from here to this one, but now the range has changed, and, well, we're kind of, this is kind of our range. And again, shout out to Matt and Libby. I learned a lot from his videos, market structure mostly, and every other thing. Yeah, because he really explains how to mop the structure, and how to just well, do everything else. Yeah, he's really on point. And yeah, I give credits to whatever it is I'm doing right now and everything that I've been able to achieve to this moment. My entries and my entries to him, uh, because he really is a great hitter. So my range, sorry, we have that range, and right now we are expecting that this M45 is gonna hold. If it doesn't, it's fine, because anyway, we do have this huge, and I repeat, this huge liquidity that has to be cleared out. This huge trend line, whatever. Okay, I'm just gonna start from this because I see the other one is kind of messed up. Yeah. Anyway, price just has to correct, and yeah, we could ride that correction. As long as we don't really have any point that we might expect price to push, extract except points like this. So yeah, we could ride that correction totally. Yeah. Anyway, so that was that. uh for the remaining 4 minutes, this is gonna be for EU. So we have this, right? We're at a weekly point, and I'm expecting price to just to not close below here. This is a weekly low, but the fact that we already have that M15, so it's on Thursday, we have what, like 48 hours to candle. Actually, more than 48 hours. Really? I think so. Yeah, more than 48 hours to the week close. Yeah, let's just check. Actually, we have a day. Wait, isn't it a day? Okay. Back to this. Okay, back to this. I don't know where my math is at, but back to this. We're expecting price to, like, not close below here, but even if it does, that's fine. Yeah, it really is. So we have this, after this ranges up, down, up, down, up, down, price has to come up here, and I'm guessing that this is the reason, or this is just a facilitation, or a way to tell us that, hey, I am totally going to go bullish from this weekly, um, that weekly demand. So all we're doing is just waiting, and we already have some momentum. Price hasn't hit this 4 hour point yet that I want us to see. Price hasn't hit that 4 hour yet, but we are writing, or it is writing from the from the 30 minute, which I don't want to do anything on. I want to just keep it fresh from the 15. Well, expecting to see a break here, but we already do have an internal from this leg. Another range, another really tiny range. So here's what I think might happen. Might get price pushing down and failing to close below that low while tapping on the H4. That might be a possibility. We're gonna go up. Also, another possibility is that price might just keep rallying up with that huge pressure that, well, it's kind of getting right now. So it's an hour or 54 minutes to Frankfurt Open. Uh, yeah, and yep, that is my outlook for today. Uh, yeah, and I hope this helped, and I hope that okay, that's actually, I just hope it helped. Anyways, thanks for watching and happy trading.